Hi, my name is Tabby. I am a nurse and a holistic nutritionist, and today we are talking about sugar. This is my very first educational video, and it would be a disgrace if I don't start at the root to almost all preventable chronic diseases. There is a lot more to the story than most people know. Working at the bedside for 10 years has definitely lit a fire under me to scream at the top of my lungs. Not that loud, I'm in an apartment. It is an exhausting world, and if I can just help one person see the root cause and instill a little bit of change in the way that they see the world, then that's what I'm gonna do. People kind of just hear sugar's bad, blah, 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 but they don't actually witness the devastation at the mass scale that it truly is. And I'm not here to strike fear within you, even though if that helps you a little bit, maybe just a little bit of fear. But I'm here to be real. I am here trying to take care of people who are so late in their chronic disease processes that we are losing limbs. We are on dialysis 3 times a week, strapped to a chair 4 hours a day. We are unable to move our own body because we've been bedbound and sick for so long from our chronic diseases. We have lost a majority of our brain functions due to stroke. With that being said, let's talk about sugar. There are 2 types of sugars we're going to talk about today, and the difference is incredibly important to understand. The first is glucose, and the second is fructose. Glucose is our main fuel system for our body. We eat carbohydrates, and then that sugar gets put into the blood, strikes the signal for the pancreas to release insulin, which is the hormone that allows the entry of glucose into the cells to be used and converted into energy. And that's how our body runs. There are even protocols written by the body to manage the over intake of carbohydrates, such as if you are eating too much carbs, your body has a few reserves that it can shuttle sugar to keep your bloodstream safe. It is stored in your muscles and your liver as energy reserves to be used and burned later. If you consume past that, then the sugar will be shuttled to your subcutaneous fat, which is the fat that you see on the outside, and it's stored there also to potentially be burned later. If you push past that subcutaneous fat leaks into the liver, and then we start seeing some issues. The overconsumption of glucose is dangerous, but there is at least metabolic mechanisms in place to try to protect you for as long as it can. Where it gets tricky is when we bypass that system altogether, and that's what fructose does. Fructose is only metabolized by the liver. Eat fructose, shuttles directly to your liver. The liver has nowhere to send it, so it begins the process called de novo lipogenesis, which literally means making new fat. So it turns that fructose into fat into the liver. Excess fat around the liver causes its own metabolic problems. So where does fructose come from? It comes from fruit. Am I saying that fruit? Am I saying not to eat fruit? No, girl. Let's talk about it. Since fruit packs fiber, it doesn't rush to the liver the same way that fructose without fiber does. That's when it becomes overwhelming, when you're consuming it without fiber. And whole foods contain fiber. I want to go into some practical examples of both glucose and fructose so we can get a bigger, better image about what we're talking about here. When we're talking about glucose, we're talking about carbohydrates. And there's different types of carbohydrates. There's simple carbohydrates and there's complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are your white breads, your white rice, your pasta, your general white pasta, your pretzels, your crackers, stuff like that. That is carbohydrates without fiber, which is the same risk that we talked about where we don't want tanks of sugar coming out our body at once. It's not meant to do that because whole foods come with fiber. So what we have done through processing is removed that fiber. So that's what that is. And then complex carbohydrates are your whole grains, your sweet potatoes. These come packed full of fiber, the same way that I described fruit. So that's the difference there. And when we're talking about the fiberless fructose, that lives in added sugar. Almost everything at the grocery store is filled with added sugar. Just start flipping over labels and looking at added sugar. The important thing to know whenever you're looking at labels is it'll say total sugars, which includes the sugar that was added to whatever the food is, and the sugar that came with the food. Added sugar is processed sugar that has been stripped of fiber and is primarily made of fructose. We're talking breakfast cereals, especially breakfast cereals, granolas, yogurts, sports drinks, energy drinks, soda, your sauces, like your pasta sauces. All of that stuff has added sugar, which is primarily made out of fructose. When you eat a real whole food meal, your body releases hormones to the brain that lets the brain know we are full. The dangerous thing about fructose is it does not have that biological mechanism. So you can just eat and eat and eat and eat. And food companies know this. They got you, girl. It's not a coincidence. It's a business model. And how do we see that presented as symptoms? Let's talk about it. First thing I want to bring up when I'm talking about symptoms of excess fructose intake, which is primarily the American diet, is midsection body fat that will not budge. That is most likely not subcutaneous fat. Waist circumference fat is typically organ fat, liver fat, which is what we're talking about that fructose causes the liver to make, and the way overconsumption of glucose. So both of these types of sugars are dangerous, but primarily fructose is the one that takes the biggest liver hit immediately.
So why does this happen? Yes, I am doing a historical cutscene. In order to answer that question, let's take it way, way back to before grocery stores and whatever a Twix bar is made of. Fruit only came around seasonally, so we only got it maybe for a couple of months before winter came. So whenever our body came into contact with fructose, it signaled the alarm that winter was coming. So what did it do? It turned fructose directly into fat to keep us safe and warm through the wintertime. That system worked to keep our species safe throughout the winter for thousands and thousands of years, but now it has been manufactured and shoved into everything. And it's not like the liver ever got the memo.
I do want to touch on fat really quickly because the liver also metabolizes fat. Also, fatty liver is unable to metabolize fat properly, so it releases fat into the blood as triglycerides or cholesterol. So if you have high cholesterol, it's typically because of the excess intake of fructose, but also can be glucose. So people think, oh, my cholesterol is high, I just eating too much dietary fat. I mean, that's a part of it, but it's primarily the added sugar consumption that's causing your triglycerides to be high. Fat is accumulating in the bloodstream that causes systemic inflammation. Inflammation is the foundation for all chronic diseases. You can especially see this in symptoms such as joint pain, brain fog, chronic fatigue. The underlying root there is typically inflammation. The excess intake of dietary sugar is a quiet killer. It's building slowly your whole life, and the consequences will come to fruition, and they are painful and exhausting. And we only get to be people one time, and we're feeding our system the wrong fuel for years and years and years. And then you come to the doctor or to the emergency room when it's so late and we're at damage control and we throw you a pill to cure the ill, but it's really just masking symptoms at this point. If you're watching this video and you're like, okay, I'm kind of understanding the science, but I don't really know where to go from this point, that's what one-on-one coaching is for. And I now have my books open for one-on-one coaching. You can book with the link in my description a 15-minute wellness consultation call where we can chat about your goals and we can come up with a plan that I can best help you. If this video at all gave you a different sense of sugar and what it does inside of the body, if it helps you flip over that nutrition label and actually analyze whether there's added sugar in that or not, and if it is added sugar, it's most likely going straight to your liver, where it helps accumulate liver fat, contribute to belly fat, and that fat is so metabolically unstable that it disrupts your entire system, causing full body inflammation. And inflammation is when you start feeling the symptoms.
And when your liver stays in that state long enough, it stops responding to insulin the way that it should. And that is insulin resistance. And that video is coming next. Make sure you are subscribed.
Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Start where you are.